I'm not doing anything. My voodoo garden has been taken over. I don't know how to explain this other than to just say it. We were outside, Mike, me, the three little dogs. We were out walking around playing, and Littlehead, you know the two dogs, Big Head and Littlehead. Well, Littlehead has been hanging around our house a little bit more than he should. I don't know if he just decided he doesn't want to live at home or he wants to visit Uncle Ray a little extra. He's been coming over and staying for days. And then his dad has to come over and coax him into the truck to get him to go home. And then the next morning, he's back over here again for a few days. Hey, I have no say in this because I don't control where Littlehead goes. I'm not Littlehead's companion, his caretaker. So anyway, we're outside and Littlehead's been staying here for the last few days. Well, Littlehead decided to start bringing me gifts. Yes, gifts. And I'm kind of flattered, although it's really kind of creepy. Well, the other day, well actually last week, I found a giant dead rat outside my back door. Yeah, that kind of sucked, and so I had to get rid of it because I don't want my dogs dealing with it. And that was kind of sad, and it wasn't eaten, it was just killed and left there at my back door. One day later, there was a nice big juicy dead rat at my front door. And you know, I appreciate that Littlehead can get out there and catch and kill a rat at night. I don't know how the heck he does that. He's a good hunter. He's a good hunter. So he's been killing rats around the farm. That is a bonus and that is beneficial. So I really do appreciate that. And I made sure that I petted him and gave him lots of attention and stuff. Well, back to what I was initially saying. We were outside walking around and Littlehead comes running across my property out of the blue, and Rascal goes up and starts barking at him, and Littlehead gets down on the ground, and Mike said, there's something in Littlehead's mouth. I go over there and there's a wing hanging out of Littlehead's mouth. I pointed at the ground and I yelled, drop it. That's what I always do to Rascal if he's got something alive in his mouth. I don't want to see him kill anything. I know he does, but I don't have to actually watch it. Well, I did that to Littlehead. Oddly enough, Littlehead just opens his mouth and a dove fell out of his mouth, and it was a baby dove, a fledgling. Now, let me explain to those of you who don't know what a fledgling is. Doves will lay eggs in nests, and then they hatch them, and they raise little tiny birds, and then the birds, when it's time to go out of the nest, but they're not quite ready to fly, that's what's called a fledgling. That's how a lot of birds raise their young. Robins, blackbirds, blue jays, you name it, they all have fledglings. Well, what they do is, you'll see, usually in springtime, these birds that look kind of like babies, but they got feathers on them and they're on the ground. You're not supposed to mess with those birds. I know it's tempting and you think they're abandoned. They're not abandoned. The mothers and fathers stay clear of them because they don't want to attract predators to those birds. So what they'll do is they'll stay clear, and the little baby holds perfectly still, usually, unless they're stupid. And the mother and father will come and bring food to the baby and coax it to teach it how to fly. That's all part of nature. Well, we live in nature nowadays, humans, and we've taken over nature, so sometimes you'll see robin babies on the ground and cats will kill them. And that's kind of unfortunate. So we do what we can to walk the line between letting nature take care of itself and trying to help because we've disrupted nature. Well, Littlehead found this bird, this fledgling, what are you? Dove, a mourning dove, and dropped it at my feet. I didn't know what to do because he didn't want to eat it. He was just carrying it around in his mouth, and the bird just kind of stood up and looked around like, what just happened? So I gathered him up, brought him into the voodoo garden, and I decided I'm going to care for this bird until it's old enough to fly and take care of itself. I don't want a pet. I don't need a companion. I have enough companions as it is. I have my friends, I have my dogs, I have my chickens. I have everything I possibly need in the world. So I don't need a dove as a pet. And whenever I take care of animals and rehab them, they're not my pets. I'm their caretaker for a short period of time. Like when I had Christopher Robin. Christopher Robin was never meant to live with me permanently. He was meant, or she was meant, to be out in the wild, and that's what I did. I gave her a second chance. Well, this little pigeon is in the voodoo garden because I have nowhere else to keep her. I put her in a box, I brought her in here, she stayed in the box for a few hours, and I came back into the voodoo garden after preparing her food. I had to look up what exactly to feed a dove. I came in, she's not in the box. So I thought, uh-oh, okay, what do I do? And I looked all over the room she's nowhere to be found. It's like the rapture came and took this bird out of the voodoo garden. I crawled everywhere, moved all my plants, and then I just happened to look up, and there, inside the purple passion plant, there she was. Well, this is him, her, it, staring me down like it always does when I come into the room. Not too fond of me, but then again, I'm not here to be its friend. I'm just here to do what I can to help it out so that it can finally get outside and live its life outside of Little Head's mouth. The tail feathers need to grow in a little bit more because it lost a couple tail feathers. I have no idea how. It was, it's just kind of hanging out of the mouth. So I don't know what got bit, what didn't, but I know that nothing's broke. And I'll call it a she because that's a lot easier. She loves being up in the purple passion plant. Don't know why. Everywhere else in the voodoo garden, not too fond of. She likes to roost right on top of that plant. If I go near her, she goes nuts and flies all over the place because, of course I'm out to get her. This is the mixture I formulated for her to give her the best nutrition that I could possibly give her. I use a little bit of oatmeal. This is dry oatmeal. And this is called scratch grain. It's a mixture of corn, millet, all kinds of stuff, sunflower seeds, I believe, wheat. And then here is chick starter. This is the processed crumbled feed that I started the chicks on. It's high protein, and that helps build strong bodies. And then what I do is I take this, put it, I hear flapping, and then I put it into a coffee grinder. I have a little coffee mill that I use only for grinding up grains and stuff. And then I turn it into this powder, into basically flour. Yeah, that's what happens to it. I put a little bit of it into a container, add water, put it in the microwave, and cook it just for a little bit to get it warm so it'll soak up the moisture. And then I turn it into like a thick soup. And that way there's no solids in there. I use my little eyedropper. I suck some up. And then I'm not going to demonstrate on the bird because I'm not doing this anymore. This is in the past. I would hold its beak, open it up a little bit, put this in about this far, and then squeeze about a half of an eyedropper per feeding into its mouth, and it would take it into its crop. Now what this will do is it'll give it food and water at the same time, so it gives it a good measured dose of what it needs. This is the best I can do. I've raised 2 pigeons doing this, and it worked like a charm. So I figured pigeons, doves, close enough. It'll keep the bird healthy and growing until it can get out and start eating regular grains. Yeah, it's pretty good stuff, isn't it? Yeah. She likes it, but what I'm doing now is I'm trying to feed her a little bit less. She's been in here a few days now, and I'm trying to feed her less and less. So over there in her container, the purple passion plant, which I haven't watered in 2 days. Gosh, I hope she moves to another plant so I can water that thing. What I've done is I put a little tiny container of water and a little tiny container of seed, the scratch grain, and it's mixed with the chick starter. Excuse me. And that way she can learn to eat. I figure if she gets hungry enough, she'll start pecking at that stuff, and she likes being over there. When I'm not in the room, she'll experiment and go over there and drink the water, because doves can live for 11 days maximum with no water. So once I let her go out in the wild, she has to find water within 11 days or she'll die. What I plan to do is I'm going to put her into this is my plan. And it's not perfect, but then again, I'm not perfect either. I'm going to take her in a couple days after she learns how to eat and drink. I'm going to put her into the chicken coop with the little chicks. Since it's nice and fenced in and protected from everything, she'll be on the ground. She'll be with birds approximately her own size, and it'll be relatively dark in there so it won't freak her out. And hopefully, this is my hope, is that she'll eat out of the bowl that the chicks are eating out of and find the water in there. So she probably won't stay there forever. What she'll do is she'll eat and drink a little bit, and then when she's comfortable, she'll start looking around for a place to go, and she'll fly over the little fence that keeps the chicks there, and she'll probably stay in the coop for a couple of days. Then she'll find the chicken door, go outside, there will be grain out on the ground. You know how I feed the chickens out there. She'll find grain and she'll find greens, and she'll also see their water bowl. So she'll get trained slowly in stages to become a wild bird. And when she's out there, she'll of course be able to fly and take care of herself. No problem with being captured or killed. So that's my plan for taking care of the bird. Until then, I have to be very still and not spook her, because I don't want to freak her out. She's under enough stress as it is. I mean, come on, she ended up in a dog's mouth. I don't want to stress her out. So the Voodoo Garden is going to be on hold for about another week. I hope you all understand. And then we'll get back to what we're doing. I'm actually trying to root some stuff. I'll explain that when I come back into the Voodoo Garden. But until then, I just wanted to explain to you what's going on over here. It's adorable. It's adorable. And it's kind of fun, but hopefully it'll be temporary. And I cross my fingers. I wish her luck in her journey in life. Well, that's all I have for the Voodoo Garden. Just a little story and my little co-pilot over here. And until next time, this is Ray and his strange little feathered friends. We're out of here.